Hey, thanks for checking out the Ham and Spam Retro Review. If you like what you hear, please remember to subscribe, leave a like, or leave a comment, whatever platform you listen to this on.
And also remember, there's always additional content on our website, hamandspam.com, where you can find links to Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
Thanks for listening. Hope you enjoy it.
For even more content, check out our friends Nick and Brandon over at their podcast, Talk or Go Home.
All right. So after a whole week's layoff, we're back. No, we're right on the heels of Super Metroid. So where am I going with this?
Our game today.
Yeah, there we go. So the original plan for last week's episode was to do the game we're about to talk about, but Hammy called an audible and said, "Yeah, not too keen on this game." So
Well, I just beat Metroid. It's fresh in my mind.
right. Well, you were like, "I'm not too keen on this game for the reasons we're going to get into." We keep teasing Super Metroid. I've got it. I've got a little bit of time. We're going to put some time into it. You beat it. We talked about it. Great game. Good episode. Now we're going to backtrack a little bit to the episode that we're going to do before that. We're going to talk about Super Mario Brothers.
Super Mario Brothers 3.
So I listened to a game podcast out of Canada. That's what they call it.
A Gamecast?
No, a podcast. Shut up, Hammy. A podcast. They call it Super Mario.
Super Mario. What else is it?
Mario?
Super Mario Brothers. Oh, Mario.
He says
is
it's
the
a
oldest
me.
brother.
He says it's a me.
Yeah.
Mario.
That's his name.
It's a me. Mario.
No, his name's Mario.
It's Mario.
No, Mario and Luigi Mario.
I can't with you. You know what we should have done instead?
And thus, they're the Super Mario Brothers.
I just spit all over myself. You know what we should have done? We should have done a watch-along episode of that atrocious movie is what we should do.
You mean that Jim?
Hey, it's got Yoshi in it. It's got to go for
Kinda.
something, right? So yeah, we're gonna do Super Mario Brothers 3, just in the standpoint of we haven't shown the regular Nintendo a whole lot of love outside of the two Ninja Turtles games that we've done. I can't think of any other games that we've done on the original Nintendo. Can you?
I really can't.
In our 50-something podcast, I think Ninja Turtles 1 with Maze, and then you and I did Ninja Turtles 2 early, and that's been it. I think that's been it for the NES. No, Mario Brothers 2. We did Mario Brothers 2.
That's right. At the behest of Finish the Fight.
Yep. So, Super Mario Brothers. I can't say
Super
that.
Mario Brothers.
Oh my gosh. I have some really, really, really fun times playing this game growing up.
Mm-hmm.
I will say this. Playing this game on Switch and or regular Nintendo versus the All-Stars version on Switch or Super Nintendo is heads and tails different. Better graphics, better colors. We talked about colors in the last episode.
Just more vibrant.
You don't really get like how dull Super Mario Brothers 3 was from a color scheme standpoint.
Well, that was all of regular Nintendo.
That's true.
Except Gilligan's Island. That was a fantastic game.
You do that every time. Yeah, the definitive way to play it is All Stars, I think. They corrected everything that they needed to and made it the best way to play those games, I think. We kind of said it when we did
Super Mario Brothers
2. When we did that game, the second version of that game.
Why can't you say that?
I don't know. I guess I'm getting too fast, and I'm trying to sound very peng shui whenever I'm saying it.
What?
I can say peng shui, but I can't say Super Mario Brothers. Super Brother Mario. Anywho,
Mario Brothers.
so this game was completely different from Mario Brothers 1, and I think that's why, because I always call it Mario Brothers instead of Super Mario Brothers. So it's from here on out going to be Mario Brothers. Mario 1, Mario 2, Mario 3. That's how I do it.
Mario.
Anyway, completely different. So we kind of went in on our episode with 2 how different that game was and the reasonings behind it, because they basically reskinned Doki Doki Panic, which is a Japanese game. Well, they completely shelved even that look in this game. They kind of went back to their roots a little bit with Super
Mario.
With Mario 1, with like the way some of the blocks and stuff look. But at the same time, they completely revamped it. Every level looks like a stage. And it's, you're starting from the left and exit stage right. They made it very easy on the front side, increase the difficulty as you went, which is kind of the staple of all good video games. They don't, when we did Lion King, we talked about how the producers put a really, really hard level right in the second level with the monkeys and everything. And the reason behind that was because the game rental places, they were wanting these people
Blockbuster
not to be able
RIP.
to beat these games so quickly. They wanted to make them go buy them, so they put a really hard level that they couldn't beat in the middle to force you to buy them.
What a jerk move if you think about it.
Well, what a jerk move.
It makes
but
sense.
It does, but at the same time, I think it would just tick everybody off. Like, man, this game sucks. I'm not buying it.
Yeah.
So, 6 of one, half a dozen the other, I
Forget
guess.
you, Jonathan Taylor Thomas.
What is Jonathan Taylor Thomas
He
doing?
voiced Simba.
What is he doing now?
Now?
Yeah.
Maybe he's listening to the podcast.
You think so?
If you are, JTT.
We might tag JTT in this one.
No, let's not. I was a huge fan of Home Improvement. And
Team Bop.
And The Lion King.
Yeah, well, there's that too. Sorry, I had to catch a phone call. Actually, I'm going to edit that out. So 3, 2,
What are you
1.
counting down for?
So I can edit this out.
Okay.
Maybe I won't because we just had that. I don't like it when you do that to me. Anyway, so from the enemies and everything, they had to revamp everything. Lots of new enemies. Lots of new. This is the first edition of the Koopa Kids.
Mm-hmm.
So every time you go into a stage, you have to fight one of the 7 Koopa Kids. 7 Koopa Kids, right?
Yeah.
7, because 8 was always Bowser.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Okay. So the Koopa Kids make their debut here.
So I didn't know that.
You didn't?
Mm. I
Why
knew
not?
they're in World.
Yeah. Well, why didn't you know that they were in 3, Hammy?
I probably got a grand total of about 5 minutes in Super Mario Brothers 3.
You're staying with it, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there you go. So you're going to really realize that Hammy did not. I don't want to say didn't like it.
I played Super Mario World first.
Right, because you've made it quite clear that you didn't have a regular Nintendo.
I didn't.
You cut your teeth on the Super Nintendo.
Yeah, because my cousins had a regular Nintendo. My
Right.
brother had one. I always wanted one, and when I finally got my first video game system in Christmas of 1991, which was 30 years ago. Good God!
Don't you hate this podcast sometimes?
So my first system, Christmas '91, was a Super Nintendo.
And you had no idea what it
Came with
was.
Super Mario World. So
then
I went back to 3.
Literally, you're having to backtrack. So
Yeah.
it's you're getting
I became a snob because I was like, I don't want to play a regular Nintendo. That's a kid's game.
This is a man system right here.
This is for men. Burly men like me,
So
8 years old.
So it's not so much that Hammy dislikes it. It's just that he played the better one first.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to
It's
go
hard
back.
to go back. So
Once you've had the filet mignon,
here it comes.
it's hard to go back to the McDonald's double cheeseburger.
It's twice in 3 weeks that you've made, or twice in 3 weeks that you've made that.
Which that's kind of a
analogy.
lie because I eat the double cheeseburgers all the time,
They're
but
good.
that's not out of preference,
Right.
It's out of
Necessity.
or not that's convenience.
Well, that too. Yeah, because you can't go through a drive-through and get a filet mignon. Because if you could,
Oh boy,
there might be a
you'd be
million
in that
dollar
drive-through
business
for a
idea.
while.
Yeah, that
You don't keep those on the heat lamps.
No, goodness, no. They'd be dry. Could you imagine? That might be a multi-million-dollar idea for somebody, but the technology is going to get there first.
Yeah,
Anyway, so when I pause and I'm going to look at Hammy and try to get his feedback on this game. And
well, now I'm thinking of what to name our steak drive-through place now.
Steak and Shake.
It's already a place.
Oh, okay.
It's delicious too.
It is delicious.
Got really good milkshakes.
Yep. So does Freddy's. We got a Freddy's over in Trustful. They've got really good burgers.
On the Move, be the name of the place.
With like 5 O's.
Yeah.
Hey, we had a great idea for a hot dog stand one time.
Oh, what was it?
Every dog has its day.
That's true. That was good.
That was good.
Go in with On the Move. Drive-through steak place.
That is going to be patented by the time you guys listen to this.
Oh yeah.
So anyway, back to
Super Mario Brothers 3.
back to Mario 3. They introduced a lot of new power-ups in this. You had suits. So traditionally Mario, you had mushrooms that made you bigger.
Yep.
You had your stars that made you invincible for a short, 30 seconds maybe,
If that long.
if that long.
Flower power.
And the flower power where you could spit fire, even though technically he's throwing fireballs, but still. What was your stance on that? Was
I thought he was spitting.
I thought he was, because he makes that little sound when he.
And I was a grown man before I realized he was actually throwing fireballs.
It was like yesterday when I found this out.
I was today years old.
I was today years old. So anyway, they had new power ups in this one. So one of the ones that's probably the most iconic is the power leaf, the precursor to the cape, as you know it.
Mm-hmm.
It turned you into a raccoon.
Actually, a tanuki.
No. There's something else that's tanuki. I learned that as well.
You keep going. I'm going to go to Google.
Says the man that didn't like this game. No, it turned you into a raccoon, and you had what they called a P power at the bottom. So once you ran for so long in a straight line, this P power would max out, and you could jump and keep pushing the jump button, and you'd be able to fly. So in a way, not so much that it cheapened the game.
Use Google on your phone. I can't get any service in here.
Yeah, hold on. There you go.
Gracias.
So you were able to do a spin move and hit enemies with your tail, and then as well be able to fly for a short distance too. Some other suits, you got the frog suit, which would help you swim, and you could jump just a little bit higher when you're on dry ground, and it would let you swim in straight lines, so you could literally swim up, down, left, and right, and wouldn't have that floating, falling effect. Yeah, that's Tanuki suit. That is something else. We'll go ahead and talk about that. Yeah, you just showed me a picture of the Tanuki suit. So that kind of looks like this raccoon, bear, panda looking thing that had the exact same abilities as the Leaf did, but it gave you the ability to turn into a statue as well for a brief time.
You just created a wrinkle in my brain.
Did I?
Yeah.
There you go.
You were correct. There you go.
So some
I will not question you on Super Mario Brothers 3 anymore.
If I could ever learn how to say it, then you would have no reason to go against me. So yeah, you turn into a statue for a small time. Enemies would kind of walk by you or through you. You had a Hammer Brothers suit where you'd put it on. You kind of look like a turtle, like the Hammer Brothers do, and you'd throw hammers at people. So that was pretty neat. I'm missing one. Frog.
I don't know.
I know. I'm looking at you like you would know, but you don't know. Oh, you had this boot thing in one level. There was a Goomba that's in a boot, like looks like a stocking that you would hang by the chimney with care. And if you hit the Goomba out from underneath, you could ride in the shoe.
You'd hang it there on the Monday before Christmas on Friday.
Why do you do that to me, man? I don't like you.
You love your prepositional phrases, man.
Hey, there's nothing in the English language that says we can't link those bad boys together forever.
Indefinitely.
I'm missing one. Anyway, you had some other power-ups as well. You had the P-Wing, which was literally the raccoon suit, but it was infinite P power, so you could literally like fly across a level if you wanted to. I used that a lot in World 8 growing up, because when you get to World 8, the ship levels that you've got one, no, I take that back. One's a boat level, and the other is like a tank, like this endless tank level. So you're like dodging all these bombs and bullets and all this kind of stuff. So I would usually just fly over all that crap. Because, you could still cheat back in the day too. They had a cloud, which would allow you to skip levels altogether. But if you died, you had to go back to where you used the cloud. So you had to beat the next level in order to keep your progress. So as you go through the overworld map, you got stage 1, stage 2, stage 3. If you wanted to skip stage 4, you get next to it, you use the cloud, you skip stage 4 and go to stage 5. You beat stage 5, you keep going. If you died, you go back to wherever your last successful run-in was. But if you died before beating stage 5, you'd go back to stage 4. You're just agreeing. You have no idea.
I'm still thinking of our drive-through steak. Keep going.
You got any other good names?
No, there's no better name.
There's not. They had a music box because the Hammer Brothers that were on the map put them to sleep. You had an anchor, which I didn't learn this until I was doing research for the game. You use the anchor on the ship. So when you make it to the castle for every world, you get on the ship, and if you lose, if you end your life while you're on the ship will fly away. So you have to maneuver your way back across the map. So you may have to go from far right of the map to the far left to find the ship. But if you use the anchor, it won't move. It'll stay where it's at. Did not know that.
Wow, there's a lot more depth to this game than I remember.
There really is. It's the first one that had the overworld map. So you think of overworld map like Super Mario World,
yeah,
or Donkey Kong Country. This had that beforehand. So literally
Nintendo has really set a lot of trends.
Yeah. Hey, if it's not broke, don't fix it. Right?
Well, they're changing them. They're just
well, they are, but at the same time, they found something that worked.
They're very good at and I saw someone say this about the Zelda games, where all the Zelda games look different, but they all feel the same.
Sure.
That's what Nintendo's really good at. That is making different kind of games that are still the same.
Yeah, I mean, case in point, Sunshine and Galaxy.
And Mario 64.
I hate you.
And Odyssey.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but those kind of like the Zelda games, they had a shtick. They've got a thing that they try to work in every one of those games. 64 being the 3D version. Sunshine being the, what do you want to call it? The Flood. That's
Super Soaker version.
The Flood. That's the Flood. Flood is what that little backpack's called. Apparently it's living, kind of like the hat is in Odyssey. So go figure.
Gosh, everything's alive.
Everything.
That'd be terrifying.
Well, I mean, tying back to Mario Brothers 3, if you think about it, everything had eyeballs and a face.
Yeah, all the hills.
All the hills, the
hills
clouds. Hey, that might be a precursor horror game as well.
Oh my gosh.
Anyway, you had different areas as well. So when you beat an area and went to a new one, like in the first Mario Brothers, it was all the same. It was all bricks and blocks or a cave or the little giraffe world, that had the little shelf things like you call it, but they were polka dotted like giraffes. Mushrooms is what it was.
Yeah.
But, those are basically the only three. And then you had the castle world with the white bricks. Well, in the second one, they kind of messed around. You kind of had like a grass area, a desert area, some caves. I ice worlds and things like that in Mario Brothers 2. Mario Brothers 3, every stage had its own. So you had grasslands in the first one, you had desert land in the second one, you had water land, which is kind of a hybrid between the two. There'd be some that was on land, but there'd be a lot that was in the water or some sort of water theme. So, what is that one where you got the dolphins in Mario World? The dolphins are bouncing up.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that. So it's technically a dry level, but there's water on the bottom that, like, if you fall in it, it won't kill you. You can kind of swim up, but you gotta be real careful. So some levels like that. 4 was always my favorite though. The 4th level is Giant Land. So this is the first time they've ever done this, and they ended up doing it again in Mario 64, where the enemies are just big. They're just huge or humongous compared to Mario. So you got like the big turtles, you've got the big Goombas, you got big piranha plants and everything. So very, very neat thing. One of the kind of cool things that they did in the water world, you had this great big kind of piranha fish that would follow you, and you had to dodge him, or he would grab you and you lose a life that way. Well, they did basically a reverse of that in Big World, where everything was big except for the fish. So it was one of those little bitty fish that's jumping around that can make you make you small or whatever. So I thought that was kind of a neat little thing. But moving on, past Big World is some world. I don't know. Sky
Wally
World? No, Wally World? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
No, the next one's Sky World, or Skyland, or however you want to call it.
Water World?
No, that was 3. Well,
With-
Skyland or Waterland was 3, but still. Waterworld with Kevin Costner.
Yeah.
Underrated
Kevin Costner?
movie.
Was that Kevin Costner?
Yeah, it was Kevin Costner. Here's my phone. Look it up again.
All right. You keep talking.
While I keep talking. Whilst I keep talking. Anyway, the 5th one was Sky World. So the first couple levels, you're on the ground, and then you make it to this castle fortress kind of thing.
It was Kevin Costner.
But the fortress, see, I'm 2 for 2.
Well,
I have 2 for 2.
I was thinking Kevin Costner, or you were saying Kevin Costner. In my mind, I was thinking Kevin Bacon.
Footloose Kevin Bacon?
Yeah.
That's funny.
I was like, wait, that guy's not.
He saved the water world by dancing. With a dance off.
Did the water dance.
Anyway, you would get to this fortress, you'd climb to the top of the fortress, and you'd end up in the sky level, and there's about 6 or 7 levels up there. The next one is 6 was I always called it Piranha.
Wayne's World?
No. 6 was always what I call Piranha Land, because everywhere there were little piranha plants everywhere.
So the jungle?
And this was the first actual game that they introduced Chain Chomp.
Oh, really?
So yeah, so he's very small. He's not near as big as he would there. But I did learn something else in doing some research for this. So the Chain Chomp is literally on the chain. He's trying to get to Mario. He just tries to get to Mario. Well, you can go up. You can't hit him with your feet, but you can hit him with your tail. He'll go away. But if you sit there and watch Chain Chomp try to get you 49 times, on the 50th one, he'll break the chain and chase you.
Really?
So he'll kind of start bouncing around and start chasing Mario. So just another little thing that they
try
put in
that
there.
out.
I think I've got a save spot right where we are, so it won't take. Look, well, and that's another thing, but we'll get there in a minute. But level 7 is Pipe World, where everything is a pipe. Like you go up pipes, down pipes, through pipes.
Fried pipes, pop scampi.
Pipe sandwiches. And this is where they also reintroduced. You remember how you hated in Super Mario Brothers 2, where you had vertical levels and you would jump from one side of the screen to get to an upper part on the other side of the screen?
Yeah.
They introduced some of that back in this game again too. And then level 8 is what they call Dark World, and that's where Bowser is. You get through the tank stage, get through the water ship stage, and you end up with the levels to go through. Then eventually you find Bowser. Again, rinse, wash, repeat. Beat Bowser, save the princess. So Nothing major. Very fun game. Iconic for the time. A lot of people consider it one of, if not the best game for the NES. It came out in '90, so I mean there was still a little bit of time left in the Nintendo. But it was kind of like what we talked about with Metroid. It's kind of on the back end of its lifespan. So, but this is one of those that if you've played any kind of retro video game, more than likely you've played Super Mario Brothers 3. So,
Yep, unless you're me.
Unless you're Hammy, exactly. One thing I did want to mention was Mario is really good about having warp zones. In the first one, you found the different ways to warp. In the second one, there were some warp zones. Well, they did the same thing in this one, and there was the whistles. So there's 3 whistles. You blow the whistle, a la Link in the original Zelda. They said that was kind of a throwback to that. Blow the whistle, you go to the warp zone. This little tornado will come by and take you, whisk you away to the warp zone. If you're deep enough in the game, you kind of get to choose which zones you go to. So if you're like in World 1, you've got 3 different tiers. So like the first tier would be World 2, 3, 4, and then 5, 6, 7, and the last tier is 8. Mm-hmm. So if you can be whisked away to any of those, one of those 3 tiers. If you have at least 2 whistles, 90% of the time, you use the first whistle, it'll put you in tier 1. But if you're in the warp zone and you use the whistle, it'll put you in tier 3, which is to World 8. And that's what a lot of people like to do when they try to complete the game really fast.
Yeah, I've watched some kid beat it in like 12 minutes.
Yeah, the speed run for this game is ridiculous. But one of the other things that they did, and correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think they did exactly this with World, because World you could get a power up, and then you can get another power up. And once you got the second power up, your first power up went to the little square up at the top, right? And you push select, and it would come down?
Yes.
Okay. In between worlds, could you select other things, other items?
Not that I know of.
Okay. Well, in this one, you could. You could hold up to 3 or 4 additional pages
I know
of
what you're talking
items.
about. I've seen that. No, I don't. You couldn't do that in World.
Okay.
Again, not that I know of.
So...
It might could. I just never knew it.
So one of the things that they had these toad houses. You'd go in and you'd pick from 3 different chests. And I was always a middle chest guy. I don't know why, but you go in and you select a chest, and 90% of the time, you're going to either get one of the main core 4. You're going to get a star, a leaf, a mushroom, or a flower. Sometimes you would get things like the clouds or the music boxes in certain levels. There's some secret houses where you can get like some of the better items like your P-Wings. And there's even more secret ones where you get like your Tanuki suits and things like that. But the great thing was, no matter how many of those you got, you could save them. They would just go into an inventory and you could use them later. And then on top of that, they had other little mini games as well, where this little spade would show up, and it's just basically a matching game. So you're trying to either match a flower, a mushroom, or a star. And if you match the correct ones, you'd get 2 lives for a mushroom, 3 lives for a flower, and 5 lives for a star. And one of the last things they did, in World, they had the ribbon that you cut. And if you cut it so high, they'd take you to a bonus stage. Mm-hmm. Well, in this one, it was a box that was just always going, always going. So it kind of looks like the item box, the random item box that you get in World, where if you hit it at the right time, it would switch and switch and switch. Well, at the end of the stage, you go through and you'd hit and either try to get a mushroom, a flower, or a star. And you got 3 of those. In 3 levels, you got 3 of those. You would get 1 up if you couldn't match them all. You'd get 2 up for the mushrooms, 3 up for the flowers, and then 5 up for the stars. Well, one of the things that they did that kind of made this game easy, it was super, super easy to get the stars. So all you had to do is whenever you made it to the end of the level, if you were running full speed and you either hit the front or the bottom front corner of the box, you would automatically get a star. And it's the same way in All-Stars as well. So in my playthrough of All-Stars, I got up to 99 lives like it was nothing. So, and then one last thing that they did, they had a match game. So you remember that card game Memory Match?
Yeah. I know what you're talking about.
So yeah, you'd flip the card and you try to find the match to it. Well, when you flip, say, a star, and you flip another star, that was an item that was added to your inventory. So if you flip a flower and a flower, you get a
I
flower.
wonder why they didn't bring that over to World.
I don't know, but they brought it over to Yoshi's Island. So that's probably another one you didn't really play a whole lot of, is it?
I really wanted to play through it.
Okay. Well,
I
hey,
would like
maybe
I've got it, and it's on
Switch. It's on Classic
Which is
console.
even better.
So I mean, there's all kind of things. So maybe we can get through a playthrough of it, but a little bit different. I think you would enjoy it once you kind of got the hang of it, though. But anyway, in a nutshell, that's pretty much Mario Brothers 3. I said I had great memories playing this game. Me and my sister, we would play a lot. My cousins, we would play a lot. Honestly, it was at this point, it was between this and Turtles 1, because we all sucked at Turtles 1. We played a lot of this game because of it. So, great game. Again, if you've not played it, you've been in a hole somewhere. I think, like I said, I think most everybody's played this game.
Mm-hmm.
So, available on the NES online on the Switch. I recommend it.
Also on SNES through All Stars.
And the SNES, the All Stars, which is the definitive way to play it. So, all the little quirks and everything work. Two weird things. If you go to a Toad house and you got the 3 chests.
Toad House.
If you go through the Toad house and you got the 3 chests and you pick a chest and you don't like the content, so you pick the middle chest and you're really hoping for a leaf, but you get a mushroom. Well, you got the rewind feature, right?
Yeah.
Well, if you rewind it and then go back to the middle, it'll be something completely different.
Really?
Yes. So you can't cherry pick in that game. But the little
Well, that means it's RNG. That means it only chooses what you're going to get when you first hit it.
right. So, if you go to the first one and get a mushroom and rewind and go to the second one and get there's a good chance you might get a mushroom again. But if you rewind it and go back to the first one, you don't always get the thing that they want you to have, no matter what.
Yeah.
It is random, but every time you rewind and go back in, it reselects whatever's random.
Because it doesn't randomize it until you select it. It's not predetermined when you get in there.
Right. But the one thing that they did not randomize was the match card game. So you can flip 2 cards. You got you got up to 2 misses rather. So you can flip one card, flip the other. If it's not a match, you can rewind it and go back into it. Again, yes, it's cheating. I get it, but how many times have people actually complete that? Anyway, you get all the items. So there was 2 items of stars, mushrooms, flowers. You got one
Heart, stars, horseshoes,
clovers and blue moons, pots of gold and rainbows, even red balloons for you new ones, new Lucky Charms. But I said it makes it a little bit easier to try to play through the game, especially the rewind feature. Because when you're on a ship and sometimes there's a stray bullet that'll come out of nowhere and get you. So
it's always the one you never hear that gets you.
always. Anything you want to add?
Nay.
Well, I have one thing I do want to talk about, because we failed to talk about it when it was brand new, because this won't come out till at least a week after we've heard this news. Xbox, in all of its glory, had decided to double its price of Xbox Live Gold. Have you heard of this?
Yeah.
They retracted on that really, really, really quickly, though.
Not only that, but they're also going to make it so you don't need gold to play the free-to-play.
Right, and that's
like
the other
Fortnite.
news. Yeah, there's the other news. So, like, where some of these other systems don't require you to have their online capabilities to be able to play, Xbox has said, hey, we're going to do the exact same thing. So,
at least Xbox is listening.
At least
they've
did they make a mistake? Yes, 100%, absolutely agree. But they listened to their people and said, hey, we've just built up enough goodwill after the Xbox One. We just built up enough goodwill with the fans. We probably need to listen to them and not do this. So they're going to double it. I guess my question to you, if you didn't have Game Pass, is $120 a year worth it?
No.
For just to play your games online?
No.
And what, you get 3 free games every month?
If I was just an
Old
Xbox
games?
player, and that's the only place I played online,
Maybe.
yeah, maybe. But
I mean, you'd have to be, like,
I'm
You would have to
considering canceling my
justify it.
Game Pass
Really?
because I don't play my Xbox anymore.
Well, I mean, Maze has got one and I've got one, but since we've got the Series X, you know, if he's gonna start playing the Series X at any point, then there's no sense in us having two. We can just have one, and he can use the one on that system to do everything with. But I don't know. I with you, I don't see myself paying $120 a year for it. Sometimes I even think like we have Amazon Prime. I don't know if it's worth it for $120. We do have quite a bit of stuff shipped though, so if you hit that number that if you would have paid for all this shipping, if you hit that $120 mark, then yeah, it's probably worth it. But if you only buy 3 or 4 things a year, then it might not be worth it for you. So, same thing here. I mean, if you only play 1 or 2 games, it might not be worth it. But yeah, I just kind of wanted to get your thoughts on that real quick. We teased a little bit before. Majora's Mask anniversary was, I think, this past week.
Yeah.
The big speculation is 35. We got new systems. We can release whatever we want. We've kind of touched on this. If they re-release Zelda, is it going to be a 3D set, you think?
I hope so.
Because you can play the first one, you can play the second one, and you
Yeah.
can play Link to the Past
Right
now on
Switch.
with your NES and SNES online subscriptions. That's great. Not remade. Everything's in its classical state. No big deal there. But they haven't had as well. They haven't on a game system that's been selling like the Switch has. They haven't had the opportunity to put these other great and wonderful games, maybe even an HD remaster. I mean, would you?
Well, Wii U got Twilight Princess and Wind Waker HD remasters.
Right, but
3DS got the remasters for Ocarina and Majora's Mask.
were they remasters or were they just?
They were
ports?
remasters.
Okay, so there's remasters out there at least for systems that might not look quite as good as the Switch capabilities.
They actually, the remaster for Majora's Mask is actually worse than the original, for one big reason. That's when you get the Zora's Mask and you transform into a Zora. On the original,
I know what that is.
yeah, there you go. On the original, you could swim, and swimming was incredible. It was
Yeah.
like underwater flight. It was
Right.
amazing. You could swim all you wanted, and then the remake, for some reason, they thought, hey, let's make it so it uses magic. So it's
Really?
limited. And
Ugh.
that was stupid.
Well, I know a lot of people, and I think I've said this before on the podcast as well, like with Ocarina of Time or Ocarina. Which one is it? Because I've heard of Ocarina.
Yeah.
Okay, I've heard it.
Hey, Ocarina.
It's in the podcast right there. I've heard that on the 3DS, on the remaster, that when you get into the water temple, they put arrows on where to go because a lot of people would get lost there.
Yeah,
in the
they made it
original.
easier.
So they made it easier. So, 6 and 1, half a dozen the other. I mean, how great would Metroid had we had some sort of indicator say, hey, this is where you need to go next, like some kind of waypoint. So I mean, I guess I can kind of understand it. It does make the game a little bit easier, but yeah, I would love to see the HD remasters of the 264 games, Twilight Princess, just to have it on something a little newer.
Unfortunately, I get the bad feeling it's going to get the Mario treatment where it's just ports, pretty much. I mean,
but if it's ports of the HD,
sort of.
If it's ports of the HD, would you take that at least?
Oh yeah, I'd take that definitely. But like Super Mario 64 is sort of updated a little bit.
It's updated for a 2-stick layout. That's really about all.
Well, I mean, graphically, not much.
Not much.
Just enough that it's not like horribly stretched, I think. But
yeah, I think
people were really hoping
I think
for
they,
a full-blown remaster, and I
Right.
just didn't get it.
like use the Odyssey engine for 64. So I could see some of that. I don't know, but
whatever. As long as we get something, man, I'm just ready to hear some more about Breath of the Wild 2.
okay. Well, let me ask you that, and we'll end it on that. Are you looking forward more for Breath of the Wild 2 or some sort of anniversary package?
Breath of the Wild 2.
Okay.
I've played all the other ones.
Well, I was going to say
dozens
because
of
it's
times.
new. That's probably a bad question.
No, it's not. I mean, I would be very pleasant surprised if they did HD remasters,
Now,
especially if they did a full blown like jaw dropping remaster of Ocarina of Time.
Kind of like, Halo remastered or something like that. Yeah.
That would be great.
Or like where you could push a button and see what it was and see what it is.
Yeah.
That would be awesome. I wish more HD remakes would do that. Like, hey, here's what it looked like before, and this is what it looks like now. This
You're
is
welcome.
where we, this is where we came from. So, yeah, I've made it quite clear. I know I've not played a whole lot of Zelda, but one of the reasons I've not played Ocarina of Time is because of the 64 control, and that's probably not a good excuse to not play it.
You know what? I call it a valid excuse.
Well.
That controller is hard to wrap your mind around sometimes.
Well, and I don't know. I would love to see it with a 2-stick layout and updated if possible, but at least give it to me where I can play it with a 2-stick.
It's kind of like, you said on the Metroid episode how sometimes Nintendo seemed like they didn't know what to do with the L and R buttons.
Right.
It's like for a lot of games for N64, they didn't know what to do with the entire left side of the controller.
Oh, absolutely.
It's like you got L and then you got the D-pad. And it's like,
to this day, I think the only game I played on the 64 that you could use the left side of the button were the wrestling games.
Yeah. Now, Pilot Wings used it.
Okay, I'll take your word for it.
Yeah.
Pilot Wings is hard, by the way. I played it for Super Nintendo on the Switch Online. Oh my goodness,
It was good on N64. Pilot Wings 64.
It was a launch title with.
It was.
Yeah, so I might have to get into that one. I don't know why, but I might have to get into that one.
Try it out. Jeff was a big fan of it too.
Okay. I like Wave Race. I thought that was a fun.
Yeah.
It gets old fast, but it was a good concept.
Remember Hydro Thunder?
Yeah, I've got it on 360. You want to play it?
Yeah.
All right, well, let's end this podcast so we can play it.
All right.
You just going to push the button?
Yep.
Okay, that works. Thanks for joining us, guys. I don't know what we're doing next, but stay tuned for it regardless. Thanks.